Okay, so I'm Matt. I'm back with some more chatting shit about Sorceress with some Sheffield people this time, joined by James, Trudy, and James. How are we all?
Very good, cheers.
Cracking, thanks.
Yeah, amazing, thank you.
Can I just say that's the most organised yes, I'm good we've had so far. Normally everyone speaks over
we
each
agreed
other.
the order in advance. So.
Yeah, James goes first.
We're a very tight-knit bunch in Sheffield.
Well, clearly. That was dead impressive. You're all clearly on the same wavelength, which can only bode well. So again, we've all picked a Pokemon to discuss from the Catacomb Cup, and James is going to start with Beedrill.
Yeah, I think I've always been a bit of a big fan of Beedrill, all the way back to Jungle in Season 1. And I think in this cup, I mean, obviously it's one of the top bugs, but I think the thing it's got going for it is its versatility. Like, obviously we've just had the community day, and it's got drill run, so it's the only bug, well, not the only bug, but it's one of the bugs that can really threaten the rock types, and Lapras. But I have long ran it with Aerial Ace because I like it as an anti-bug as well. So you lose a bit of damage that you would have with X-Scissor, but but I think there's a lot of benefits to Aerial Ace. Like I say, it's an anti-bug, it's anti-grass, and then depending on what you pair it with, it can be an anti-dark, or it can be like I say, anti-rock. I mean, Drill Run's just such a good move. It's pretty good against everything.
Yeah, I think I tried it the other day with Aerial Ace, and it is nice to be able to take a big chunk off things. I did find myself up against an Umbreon though, and then the lack of the X-Scissor I found a bit frustrating in that moment.
Yeah. I've been running both spam moves.
Oh wow!
Yeah. I've got like a rank 8 Beedrill from way back when, and then I've got a rank like 25 shiny from Community Day. So I've still got the option. But yeah, I've been running Aerial Ace and X-Scissor because of Umbreon. But I think we've all kind of noticed there's like less dark than there was at the start of this, I think. So
yeah.
Some YouTubers been going around saying Umbreon's are rubbish. I don't know who. And someone's been saying Flyers is ugly. I mean, I can't.
I think there's such a good fighter in the meta that the darks have kind of slipped a little.
Yeah.
Fighter, I know, but it's...
Yeah.
Look, it uses counter. What more do you want?
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it?
I've gone back and forth with it. It's like I say, because it's versatile. I'm still not. I'm liking the moveset I've got at the moment, but I've felt that it's carrying a lot of weight in my team because it's my anti-grass and my anti-bug. So I'm just running it in pretty much every single line. So maybe if I added another bug to my team, I would consider a different moveset. Maybe probably Drill Run, because Sudowoodo has been a problem. And I only originally was running Beedrill as a stand-in for Vespiquen until the end of the bug event, and now I'm like, actually, I think I prefer it. But I might run Double B, possibly.
The swarm of B.
Yeah, swarm of B.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you mentioned pairing it with another bug, perhaps. Because I think Trudy's pick later on could make a nice partner for it as well, actually, as something that takes out the bugs and the grasses.
Well, I have it in my team, and I've noticed it pairs really nicely with Sudowoodo. They've got really good coverage between the two of them, and they actually they form a pretty good core.
Yeah. I'm totally on the same page. But I have found that it's rare that I run a line that doesn't have Beedrill in it. And I think just that sounds like a bit of a dangerous tactic, because then when I'm up against a team where I need Beedrill for something specific, and I don't have, you know what I mean? Like when I need it to kill 2 or 3 things, I'm a bit sort of backed into a corner.
Which is kind of Lapras and Umbrian territory, but you're using Beedrill in that role, which it does quite well. It does pretty well. It doesn't quite have that bulk, but it's not.
It's bulkier than you think. Not that you think. It's bulky-ish. It's bulkier than like Pinsir.
As go.
And yeah, it's no like Vespiquen, but it's still all right.
I wonder. You mentioned that you find yourself running it in more or less every line. I wonder how much of that's to do with the fact that it is like the best Venusaur counter in this cup, really, with Scolipede. Do you think that could be a lot to do with it, perhaps?
Yeah. It's kind of just, I just feel safe with it because there's a lot. It totally walls Venusaur, which is probably the most popular grass type. And then, if they do something weird and bring in something, there's not much stuff that completely walls it. Like even though Pseudo is causing me some problems, you can still get like chip damage on it. A few X's and it's like at 50% health. So
people don't know you're not running Drill Run. So if you charge up to AA and fire an X Scissor, and they're a rock type, you're getting the same shield you got with Drill Run.
They do now, though.
Well,
you all knew anyway. But,
only a very small percentage of people know. That's yeah.
And I think one other thing about Beedrill versus Vespiquen is that it's only singly weak to rock, and does a pretty similar role. Yeah. In fact, with the moveset that I've got, it's pretty much the same thing because you're using Vespiquen as with Power Gem in place of Aerial Ace as your like anti bug. So they're like the typical moveset for Vespiquen aligns with how I'm running Beedrill, but it's not got the double rock weakness, which is nice.
And it's also not weak to Ice Shard as well from Lapras, which is...
It's not weak to Volt Switch, which I guess I'll come to. It's not weak to... and the weaknesses that you pick up, like you pick up, you're only neutral from ground attacks, but name 2 ground attacks in this cup. I guess an Earthquake from Pseudo, but it's going to throw Rock Slide. Pick up a weakness to Psychic, but who cares? Yeah, if somebody wants to Fusion Wormadam, they're welcome to.
Yeah, I think
I've seen one.
Really?
With Confusion.
I think
I'm surprised I haven't seen a Venomoth yet. I am actually surprised I haven't seen one.
I think you're only going to see them with Bug Bite. With so much darker.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I find Beedrill very frustrating to face because I was originally running. I saw Venusaur as the safe swap here, just because of I was convinced that Vespiquen was awesome and everyone was going to be running it, and that the Sludge Bombs are fine versus it. So I even tried out Tangrowth the other night as a grass type just to have the Stone Edge to the Rock Slide to hit Beedrill, and even with a few Vine Whips advantage, it'll take the Rock Slide quite nicely.
The thing is with grass types other than Venusaur, then they're weak to all of its moves. Like the only thing Venusaur's got going for it is that it's neutral to bug and neutral to poison. So yeah, you're right. It's such a pain in the arse, and I've swept whole teams just with Beedrill. Just getting it lined up right and getting a bit of energy behind it. It's a bit of a monster.
Yeah. In the tournament we just done tonight, the practice tournament, I lost to Jim Rattata and his Cradilly, and that gave me some serious problems. That could be something I might look into. Actually, I'd not thought about Cradilly, but if Beedrill does start becoming, I think at the moment the bugs are split pretty evenly. I don't think there's one that's more popular than the other, but I think if if Beedrill does start rising, then that might be something I have a look into, because that stab Stone Edge is going to kill, I presume, whereas a non-stab Rock Slide might, doesn't. So, yeah.
It very nearly went into my team for the Sheffield one on Thursday, actually. I was trying to bring it in place of Graveler, but then at the last second I was like, no, I'm used to this team, I'll just stick with it.
Yeah, fair. Okay, well, have we got any more thoughts on Beedrill, anyone?
Just one thing about the movesets. You were talking about running Drill Run with Aerial Ace and not having X-Scissor at all. The big pitfall to that for me is you lose the bait opportunity, because they're both sort of 45, 50 energy, and you don't have that 35. So in the mirror, specifically, if you end up shielding an X-Scissor in the mirror, that's it. You've handed the mirror over.
Although
I played someone on Thursday who was running double nuke. There's someone on this call.
Me too. Me too. We had a Beedrill.
We haven't spoken about Sludge Bomb as well.
No, we haven't. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe someone. I won't name names, but that. They're in again. We go back to it's versatile. So
yeah,
but yeah, I do like having a bait move. Like I say, I think I'll stick with my moveset unless I bring in another bug, and then I'll maybe consider running Drill Run, and then sort of adapt to my if my opponent's like just going to bring Pseudo Widow all the time, then
yeah.
Well, I don't think the bait in the mirror thing is a deal breaker. It's just a risk you accept when you gain something else, but you give up that. So.
I had a nice fun situation where, so I was running Aerial Ace Drill Run, and I had a bit of energy, and someone switched Sudowoodo into me. My instinct was, I'll go for the bait, so I clicked Aerial Ace, and then I thought, well, actually, that's not a bait. My opponent shielded it, just in case it was Drill Run, and then didn't shield the next, because maybe they thought,
They thought you only had AA and
this idiot.
Yeah, you're going to assume that other move is X-Scissor, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's like the Hypno Thunder Punch Ice Punch thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's niche. I mean, I'm not suggesting that for a minute, but
no, sure.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to Trudy's pick, which is one of the best Beedrill counters out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, being the only female that has so far appeared on these chatting shit, I'm gonna rep my gal Froslass, who is quite frankly a boss size bitch. She's amazing. I love her. I mean, she's the one hit knockout queen, isn't she? Like, she's got 2 massive nuke moves that she just drops all over the place. With shields, with energy, and wherever she is, she's a good pick in any cup that she's been in so far. In 2, she beats 82% of the meta. So, yeah. Mic drop. Yeah. And it's the same in 1s. If she's got 2 Powder Snows advantage, she's on like 85% of the meta. She's got some really nice pair work with like Meganium that I'm running as well. They've got they cover everything between them. She always wins CMP tie, so that's like getting an extra fast move off in the first place, because you can just rely on her to just hit people in the face. I just love her. And she's real glamorous. So,
even in like the Sudowoodo matchup, if you're a couple of moves behind, by the second or third charge move, you're now tying and you're winning the ties. It flips that matchup.
That is a big one for me. Like, I've looked at it several times because of the Sudowoodo matchup. yeah, the resistance to counter is a big one, I think.
And the other thing is, I think she's quite low on the PvP rankings because of the prevalence of darts. But I mean, they're melting away as if some kind of Yorkshire guru foretold it. As if, they're like Umbers and Swilers. They're not nearly as prevalent as they deserve to be because there's so much going on, and that really does just leave a path open for my gal, my lass.
And she'll take both shields off Swilers. Even I mean, she might die in the process, but she will take both shields off Swilers cheerfully. But like,
I've brought her back in with a sliver of health to beat a Swilers at the very end of the match, 3 or 4 times already in the meta. You know, she just comes back in and she's like, and then it's it's all good.
Froslass with energy at the end of a match is just lethal.
Yeah.
Zephyr versus Venusaur.
I don't know what you're talking about. But like, I mean, with my Pokemon, I've got like kind of a Marie Kondo kind of a thing. It's got to bring you joy. And everyone on here has had a little smile about Froslass. Like, you've got to get to the Pokemon. There, see? We've got a lot of love. And yes, she's got boss stats and she's amazing. But she really, like, the trainers who use her and love her. And like, I'm one of them.
Yeah, she's been my favourite PvP mom since Twilight. I ran her in Twilight way back when, and I adored it. I thought she was wonderful. And I think what's nice about Froslass here is that along with Sableye, there's not really much else that wants to take on the Ghosts and Sudowoodo. And Froslass has the added benefit of having Avalanche and Shadow Ball, like
with a 4 energy per turn fast move. And 2 charge moves like that. I mean, it's broken.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I do know people who call her Frost Glass, and that's mean.
All lies.
But
all
fair.
Lies.
This cup is glassy, though.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, she's in good company. But the thing is, like all good women, you've got to treat her carefully and respect her. Right? Give her the shield she deserves, and give her the love she needs, and she'll be good to you.
Fair enough. Well, and I going back to what you were saying about Froslass being known as Frost Glass, I don't think she's that frail. I think whenever you need her to take a neutral charge move, she can. People will try and farm her down, and they'll fall short, and you'll land another charge move. And actually,
she can eat a crunch. Do you know what I mean? She's all right. She can handle. She can handle herself.
Yeah.
Go on.
Okay, so I was running Tyranitar the other night, as a sort of answer to Froslass, because I like the fact that Tyranitar in 2 shields can do a lot. Like, it'll beat a lot of things you won't expect it to. But I was thinking, you know what, Tyranitar will just be able to farm Froslass down. Shield the Avalanche and then just smack down Froslass down. But it doesn't. A stab super effective smackdown from Tyranitar cannot farm down Froslass in time before it gets 2 avalanches.
Really?
Yeah. So Froslass is not. It's not frail. It's not.
Froslass is about the same stats as Venusaur, isn't it?
Yeah. A rank 1 Froslass has got I think it was 9 more total stat product than a rank 1 Venusaur.
Which must mean more bulk.
Yes.
That brings me nicely into I love Froslass, but in this meta, it's not fitting with the rest of my team because I've got Glass elsewhere. I think, like, for me, Lapras' bulk is really handy. And like me and Trudy had a match the other night where it got down to Venusaur and Froslass, both with like a tiny bit of health, and Venusaur had less health than Froslass and Vine whipped Froslass out. Like, so it's kind of like if I wasn't so glassy elsewhere, I'd be more inclined to run it. But
now I'm gonna pick you up on that, because I don't think it's either or Lapras or Frosty, and I think both, and not just in the team, but a double eyes line is super sharp. Lead with Froslass, pull out the counter, bang bang bang, and then surprise Lapras at the end. Like, happy days. I
found the double of lots of types in this cup seems to be working.
Yeah.
Double grass works. I've occasionally run the double rock climb with Graveler and Sudowoodo, and sometimes you get completely destroyed, but sometimes just they have no response.
Sometimes you go to me.
And double bug is obviously double bug's probably the most
Yeah,
versatile
so I thought
one.
double dark was going to be a thing right at the start, and I was running Umbers and Swy, and just no joy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've made double dark work, but I want to double up every type in this cup. That's
Yeah.
If you want to double up more than one, you start dropping other types completely, and then you end up in all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, but I think Froslass and Lapras are so different. I think they'd probably be towards the top of my list for a double up. You know, one of them really doesn't want to be taking Sudowoodo on. The other one really does. Neither of them are amazing versus Venusaur, but they're both okay. You know, they're both fairly safe. Well, certainly one of them will be fairly safe against your opponent's team. So having both of them gives you options there, which I think is quite nice. Yeah.
What happened to cast form? Just on a side note, cast form was originally like third. I've not seen anyone run one, and it's just.
I think it loses to Froslass, and it loses to Sudowoodo.
And it loses to Lapras.
It loses to Lapras.
And it's significantly more expensive than all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got one built.
James has got one.
I mean, it's not great stats. And actually, I didn't double move it for timeless, it turns out.
Why would you?
Also, it only has ice charge moves, so why would you?
But that's why I didn't
get really
double move
into it. I'm running a Sudowoodo with only one charge move, by the way. Like, what's the point?
Yeah,
Earthquake.
fair.
When do you even get to it?
Fair.
Yeah. Because against rock types, it's enough. They don't resist rock.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a use case for it in this cup. I double moved it anyway because I think I'll use it again. But I don't think the earthquake isn't
from a Bonsley, so I double moved it on the cheap. But I don't think I'd have bothered otherwise. With steel banned completely.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, perhaps the only thing you'd want to land. Yeah, because there's nothing that resists rock apart from like the odd nutcase who's running Rhyperior. But
yeah. Oh no, because Breloom resists both, so not even Breloom.
Yeah. Okay, well, I don't think there's much more to say about Froslass really. Let's move on to James and Alolan Graveler.
Yeah, so I ran the Alolan Graveler tonight in a cup and didn't have a lot of success. So this is going to be a slightly more muted endorsement.
And he's had a few beers, so he's going to tell the truth.
Yeah, thanks for that. It's very much. I was looking for a rock type that does rock type things to partner with Sudowoodo, which is a rock type that does fighty things. So I wanted something that had more cleaner wins against. I still thought Vespiquen was going to be a much bigger. Vespiquen was going to be a much bigger deal than Beedrill. And so I played around with Alolan Golem, because access to Wild Charge seemed important. Turns out not. But I settled on Alolan Graveler with Volt Switch, Rock Blast, and Stone Edge. And it does rock type things. It loses to all of the grasses. It beats all of the except Pinsir, and it's kind of middling against all of the others. Except it has a fantastic matchup with Lapras, which I guess not every rock type does.
Yeah, it's the only rock type that beats Lapras in all even shields, I think.
Right. Yeah, and it needs Volt. Volt Switch is the important factor there, right?
Yes, I would have thought so. Yeah.
Because Rock Throw is
terrible.
It's not that bad.
It's not
Rock
that
Throw's
bad.
It's the same damage output as Counter.
Yeah, it's just a little bit slower, isn't it?
It's not the energy gen of Counter, but it's the same damage output as Counter. It's a solid move for what you want, but obviously Volt Switch gives you so much energy gain. But actually, I think the movesets on the two Alolan Rocks are probably the most interesting aspect to talk about. Because I think there is the option to run it with Rock Throw, and it makes all of the bug matchups much cleaner.
But is Volt Switch not the reason for running Graveler over the other rocks? Because if you're running the rock fast move, if you're running Rock Throw on it, the sort of distinguishing feature there is then of Graveler is the electric subtyping, which isn't doing
giving
much.
You resistance to the flying moves that don't appear in this cup, and an extra weakness to the ground moves that don't really appear in this cup.
Yeah, I think
so.
Well, Drill Run is not pleasant. Did Drill Run one shot? Yeah.
But Drill Run one shots most of the rocks.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, fair.
Like
really
Carracosta doesn't enjoy Drill Run any more than Graveler does.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I guess Carracosta is one of the matchups that Volt Switch helps a lot with as well. Partly for the energy gen and the speed that you gain to the unresisted rock moves, but also obviously the Volt Switches are chunking away.
Yeah. So it all sounds pretty positive. So why haven't you got a glowing report from tonight then? Something must have held it back.
I found that I needed Sudowoodo a lot, and that led me. Now, admittedly, tonight was slightly artificial. I ran Alolan Graveler in almost every battle, so that I'd have something to talk about.
Right.
Because I've dropped it from I've dropped it from my main team now.
Right.
But Umbreon that you haven't practiced with.
Right, yeah, essentially. So I rebuilt my team around Alolan Graveler, and but I couldn't not bring Sudowoodo a lot of the time, and so I was running Double Rock a lot of the time, and then just getting whomped on by just not lining the grass up with my. Inevitably, that means you run Beedrill or maybe Sviolus or something in the third slot.
Yeah.
And unless you happen to align that, it becomes this very rock paper scissors thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're not forcing yourself to run it every game, maybe it's a little better.
Yeah.
I don't know. I ran it, and I really didn't enjoy it because it felt a bit one-dimensional because of the two rock charge moves.
Yeah.
It felt flimsy, maybe because I was lining it up badly, but it did seem to get.
No, I think you're right, and it's not like giving it an off type. The only other move it gets is Thunderbolt, so I can't think of a matchup where that significantly helps you. I guess Carracosta again.
Yeah, possibly, but even then, there's you're doing Volt Switch, aren't you, and chip with.
Yeah, you're winning that matchup without Thunderbolt, so why add it? And I
did look at it, and I decided that the bait and nuke was the best option. But then, actually, when it came to it in this cup where there are so many Pokemon fighting for those spaces, I was like, no, it's just not. It just didn't feel good enough. But at the same time, I bought it. I also bought it because I'd been nuked by it the day before. So
I'm interested. I'm really surprised to hear. A fairly negative consensus here because it's just absolutely wrecked me every time I faced it. When I initially sat down and did my little squiggly diagram for the month, I actually classified it separately to the other rocks, because of the Lapras thing, and that was what led me to lead to look into Rhyperior in the first place. Just the complete walling of Graveler, and so honestly,
is it Lapras that's the differentiating factor then? Is it because it doesn't pick up much else that any rock type couldn't do? I think.
Yeah, it's Lapras. And well, I've been running Carracosta as well, and that's a pain in the arse as well. So that's why it was causing me problems.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. What are you going to say, James?
I mean, I've gone through similar things with it. I've been running it for a while though, and I can't really find a better solution for what I want it for. So I'm kind of resigned to keep on using it. I've had this before, like where I'm like, I don't like this Pokemon. Well, I do, but it's kind of love-hate. Like, but as soon as I take it out, everything else goes to shit. So I'm sticking with it for now.
It's your sad glue. It just together and makes you miserable.
Yeah. I really like it. Like I've used it in Path Cups, and the Volt Switch has obviously made it more of a threat in certain circumstances. But
with the spammability, I mean, it's like you said earlier, 20 turns to 2 Rock Blasts.
And Stone Edge hurts. Like I've landed Stone Edge on Venusaur. It does about 75-80% of the Venusaur. Absolutely.
Most of the grass types. More to a jump off.
And it's like the first, like you said, it's quite quick to 2 Rock Blasts, and it's only like half a turn more than to the first Rock Blast to the Stone Edge. It's really it's a difficult one, like on the receiving end for you to be like a block, and it's a difference between like 30% and 60%. Then it's quite significant.
It's literally double the damage for just 1 Volt Switch more, basically.
I thought it was interesting, James, that you just said there. Said something to the effect of, "I don't like it, but I can't find anything better that does what I want it to do." What exactly is it that you want it to do? We might be able to help you here.
I mean, because I think rock is becoming increasingly important, and I want a rock Pokemon that isn't Sudowoodo, but also isn't hindered by the fact that Rock Throw is really slow to charge. I mean, ideally, I'd want a rock type that wasn't weak to fighting. That would be the holy trinity.
I mean, there's one out there.
Amaldo, mate. Rock Bug.
Oh, that wasn't even what I was thinking. I was thinking Aerodactyl.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good point. Well, we have spoken about this. Aerodactyl and Arcan, I think, are the two.
Yeah.
But Aerodactyl, yeah.
Again, it's Rock Throw though, and that's if you're not after that, then
And I think if you're after Rock Throw, there are loads of. I mean, you could just. Doesn't Vanilla Graveler get Rock Throw? Or is that
possibly.
Maybe.
But at that point, you're better off with Rhyperior. But yeah, no, I think you're right. It's spammy rock damage, isn't it? It's rock damage that might burn a shield, essentially, isn't it? The
Lapras matchup is really nice as well, like we've already said.
Yeah.
Because you tie to the first Surf in the lead with your Rock Blast to their Surf, but to the second one, you're way ahead of them. And you're weighing up just how much extra energy you want to farm before you throw.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Graveler? Or it's a fairly one-dimensional mon, isn't it? As Trudy was saying, I think. It's the two charge was the same. But if you can,
I didn't realise it's gone to number 4 on PV Poke now. I didn't realise that it shot up that much. So it's obviously doing something right.
Yeah,
it might be the best at what it does. I think it doesn't do anything else, and that's where it's a little inflexible for me.
Yeah, and I think the pincer with not having the rock fast move, it loses to pincer. And now, let's say you're running Graveler and Sudowoodo as 2 rock types. You've now got 2 rock types that lose to a bug, and that's concerning for me personally.
So then I've got Beedrill with Aerial Ace.
And if I'm running Venusaur, I've got a grass type that beats your bug. So at that point, do we even class Pinsir as a bug? Do we class it as a fighter, given it loses to Venusaur and beats the rocks?
Well, quite possibly, yeah. Quite possibly. Yeah. It's a strange one. It's a strange one, this Graveler. Yeah. I'm surprised it's as popular as it... I'm surprised it's as popular as it is. Although, like I say, from my experience against it, I can see why people use it. It's been great against me. But then moving sort of, this is a good chance to move on, because on my team I've been running Carracosta tonight, and I've been running Carracosta with Lapras. So Carracosta is what I want to talk about. It's actually, along with Graveler, it's the other one that beats Lapras comfortably.
Because you're not weak to Surf, and you resist Ice Shard, and you resist everything, in fact. Yeah, and you've got Body Slams, which are, worst comes to worst, and you are stuck up against a Venusaur, which I was put in that situation, unfortunately. I was able to get 2 Body Slams off when they decided to totally farm me down. So, they were able to throw 2 Frenzy Plants at the next thing, but if you've got Beedrill as the next thing, then is that an issue? I don't know. But the key thing for me was the Froslass matchup. The ice resistance is huge. The water type gives you that. My Cargo gets that as well, but my Cargo has a much sketchier matchup versus Lapras. So it's certainly got its positives as Carracosta, and if you go on, sorry.
How does it go with bees? How does it like bees?
Fairly well. I can't say any of the sims off the top of my head, but as with any rock type that isn't double weak to Drill Run, I would have thought that as long as you match the shields, you'd be okay. I'll just quickly pull that sim up. It's comfortable versus the Beedrill. Yeah, it's really comfortable versus the Beedrill.
I guess the downside to running Rock Throw is that you don't know you're not throwing first by any means. So you're not necessarily getting the opportunity to match shields.
Yeah. Although actually it looks here like
shield deficit and hope they match yours.
Yeah, although it looks here that you can let you can let a drill run through, and even if they shield a Body Slam, you mutually feint on rock throws. So it's a double down, and you're taking a shield. So actually, you don't need to shield. So that's some good knowledge, and that's against the bug that's. Well, it's certainly the better bee versus the rocks. Pinsir's still going to give you a hard time. You'd certainly have to double shield that.
And I guess if you do shield, you just farm down. You don't throw, and you got a Surf or a Body Slam for the next thing.
Yeah, quite right.
Or 2.
Yeah, 2 Body Slams. Yeah. So it does the rock type thing as well as any other rock types do the rock type thing. It's just. It's by far the worst versus the Graveler because of the Volt Switch being super effective. So I'm actually now thinking about it because the speed of Graveler beating Froslass, as comfortably as it does. I think Carracosta and Graveler, despite their differences on the surface, are actually quite similar in terms of where they fit within the meta.
Because they do the generic rock job, and they beat Lapras and Frost, and they beat the 2 prominent ice types, which the other rocks don't necessarily.
Yeah. So it's an interesting one. I was sure, like, because I definitely had a Froslass problem. Definitely, as Trudy knew. I really struggled with this Froslass. Yeah, Squiddy caught me out with it really badly as well. And that was when I was running Rhyperior and Tyranitar. Like, I quite like having the rock fast move damage, so I think I'd run Carracosta over Graveler, unless being weak to Graveler was an issue, in which case then I might run Graveler to mitigate that. But I don't know. I had a train of thought, but I've completely lost it. Squiddy and Trudy caught me out with Froslass. That's what it was. And certainly, if you want something to counter, if you want something with the rock damage that's going to take on Froslass, this is the one. This is the one to have. But overall, Graveler might be a better pick. I don't know. What do you guys think?
You don't have a Carracosta, so I haven't looked at it at all, if I'm honest, and I haven't faced one yet, actually. So I'm a bit in the dark. It's been around. My only frame of reference is PvP Poke, and it's been pretty high throughout. And if it was easier to trade at the moment, I'd be trading Turtugas. But
I think, for a lot of people, Carracosta's going to be a big investment. Like, I think, Matt, you told me you'd spent 150 rares on it, and it would be similar for me. I've got a good Ivy. I've got like a top 100 rank one, but it's level 12 or something, and it needs a second move. It needs to evolve, and it's a lot of candy that I don't have.
Mine isn't even that good a rank. It's rank 350. Well, I mean, it's decent. I'd be happy enough.
It's good enough.
Yeah,
it's good enough. It's not like it's going to have many mirror matches.
No.
It's got to be not just good, but it's got to be really good, because I'm basically now choosing between building something new for Premier Cup or Master League, or building a Carracosta for this month. It's got to be really good.
Yeah.
And it might be.
I think it is. I think it is. I think you've just got to be. I think my when I used it, it worked really well, and it's in a 3, it does its job as well as anything else you could possibly pick. I think my issue has been building a 6 with it. Like running it with Lapras and Vespiquen means that you are very weak to Alolan Graveler, because the matchups which they are matchups which are somewhat farmable, and then if your counter to Alolan Graveler is a Sudowoodo or Venusaur or Pinsir, which mine are, none of those want to take a Stone Edge. I have absolutely nothing that can deal with Graveler with energy, and so I think, and that's what makes me think back to Rhyperior, to be honest. I think Carracosta's grand, but I think somewhere along the line, having a ground type's good, because of Alolan Graveler.
It doesn't take you to Beedrill instead.
I think swapping Beedrill for Vespiquen is certainly something I'll be doing in the next practice. I've been sort of chopping and changing between, but it's still. I mean, go on.
Bringing in Rhyperior really is throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're bringing in something that is really like, it's got a "punch me please" written across its face and on its back.
However, though, all the rocks have.
Running a Graveler will be running a Sudowoodo as well.
Yeah.
And or some fighter, whether it's a Breloom or a Pinsir or a Sudowoodo. And if you, I feel like if you bring a rock ground, whether it's Rhydon or Rhyperior, are there any other ground types in this? Oh, Sandy.
Graveler. OG Graveler.
OG Graveler.
I was just looking at you could elite TM OG Graveler to Rock Slide.
Sure, you could. You absolutely could.
If you really, really wanted to expend some resources.
I think I'd do it almost. If I was doing it, TMing.
Brewer's your man for that one. Brewer's your man for expending resources.
Oh, listen, I held off on the Stomp Kangaskhan in the end. I came to my senses.
Well, I just think if people have 2 rocks in their team and they see you've got a ground type, they just don't bring their electric type, and you haven't really solved the problem.
Yeah, maybe. But then I don't think Sandy Worm's the solution either, because he doesn't actually resist rock.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think Sandy Worm can do anything.
Yeah, and Breloom certainly isn't the answer to resisting anything. I think perhaps the way to beat these things is energy management. And I sort of look back to Rose Cup, where the strategy that I enjoyed success with was stopping Marowak switching in the first place. So it might be that using Lapras as a safe switch, so you're not the fast move behind that allows you to get to the surf, or leading with the grass type, or leading with your Sudowoodo, or I think you have to play around Graveler. You can't counter it, and I think that's the key difference between Graveler and Carracosta. Do you know what? I came into this call tonight thinking Carracosta's great. It's just not worked for me. And actually, I've completely convinced myself that it's a complete.
Well, it's obviously not my ringing endorsement that convinced you. So I've been loving using it.
Have you been on a different call?
I had been loving using it and the Golem with version with Wild Charge before, but I put it back in my team tonight and just had a terrible time. So, but I'm glad in the midst.
You used it in every game as a talking point.
I'm glad in the midst of that you found joy.
Yeah, I think it's interesting though, because I think there's a lot of things to try and cover in this meta, isn't there? And there's a lot of different things with slight nuances that mean you can't cover all the bugs with a rock because Pinsir. You can't cover. I'm desperately trying to think of another example. You can't cover all the grasses with ice because they don't resist, or whatever. I'm really struggling. Yeah, you can't cover all the bugs with. I've said the bugs with rocks. Yeah. Anyway, there's nuances there, and it feels like to me that there's 5 or 6 things, like Froslass perhaps less so because it's more popular and rightly so, but there's things like Beedrill and Houndoom and Alolan Graveler and just weird, well not weird, but like off meta stuff, slightly off meta stuff that can catch you out. And if you avoid those things in your opponent's teams, you've got a really strong team. But if you bump into one, you've got no chance. I bumped into a combination of Beedrill and Alolan Graveler tonight, and I just gave up all hope just as soon as I saw the team. God only knows how I took a game off them, but
and now I wish I'd matched with you in the tournament because I might have enjoyed Graveler more. But
well, you have. You've matched with me. I'm sure we've played twice in practice already now, and you beat me both times.
And I was running Graveler both times.
And Beedrill both times.
And Beedrill, yeah. Yeah, so if only I'd matched with you tonight, this could have been a different video.
Well, quite possibly, yeah.
I feel it's so easy to slip into like, oh crap, I'm horrendously weak to one thing in this cup. Like, you could run a whole team with really good coverage that was entirely weak to counter, quite easily. And I've tried not to do that, which was like initially I was like, oh, I don't want to run Graveler because that's another weakness to counter. But then as time gone on, I'm like, Sudowoodo can't counter down that many things. So
the lack of stab on it actually is quite noticeable, isn't it? On counter.
Yeah. And then because not only that, but like you've got 2 of the bulkiest things in the whole of PvP as well to counter down. So like actually there are sort of checks and balances. But then when you go into some of the glacier stuff, like you say, like there can be a combination of two Pokemon that you just can't do anything about, and it's really like there seems to be a lot of mold breakers. I poo-pooed this meta straight away, and now I'm like, actually, it's really quite good. Now everyone's gotten over the fact that Umbreon is again central to, it is central to the meta because everyone's bringing things to counter it. It's actually quite an interesting.
Silph has become quite like it's so well countered in so many teams that you almost. I wouldn't say you can't run it. I think you can run it and you can succeed with it, but it's a long way from essential.
Yeah, I just use it to sort matches out now. I've gone back and forth, and I'm bringing it, and it's just purely to like wait until I can switch something else in.
Yeah, it's
save up 2 files.
It's the adverts in the middle of a program.
Yeah.
Well, I think let's leave it there then. I think we're at risk of this becoming a generic discussion on rock types here. I don't know. It has, and it's been fine. You know, I think we've covered both Graveler and Carracosta well. I've certainly not got any more thoughts on either of them. For either of you guys? Any of you guys?
No, but is this your last chatting? Because no one's talked about Breloom, and Breloom is Bay, and is the stab counter user that we all dream of, apart from the fact that she's made of paper.
I've got one more chatting planned.
Okay.
So
right.
I'll encourage people to talk about Breloom more, and perhaps even talk about it myself.
Thanks.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Well, thank you all for joining me, and I hope we can all settle on a team. It seems like we're all struggling to find a 6 that we're completely comfortable with.
Always.
Yeah.
5.
Can I have 10 picks? I'm sorted.
Yeah. Well, I think
I've got 2,850. Is that okay?
See, I think if everyone had 4 picks, it wouldn't be a problem. But the fact that
we don't have the same 4.
Yeah,
they were the same.
Beedrill, Lapras, a dark type, and Venusaur.
Well, I don't even. Well, okay, if everyone had 5 picks, I think it'd be fine because everyone would have 1 spice pick. But the fact that there's 2 spice picks available creates those combinations and you just can't cover all of them.
Yeah. It's like what you want to double up on, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see how it develops. It might. I think we're going to see a lot of changes in it this month. Personally, I think we'll see a lot of rotation of what I think Umbreon will become good, but not until the very end of the month when no one's playing it anymore. So I can deal with that. Yeah. Right. Well, we'll catch you all later.
Cheers, bud.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
But the thing is, like all good women, you've got to treat her carefully and respect her. Right? Give her the shield she deserves and give her the love she needs, and she'll be good to you.
Fair enough. What's going on here, James?
That's a great question. I've no idea.
James hasn't paid his electricity bill. It's very awkward.
Maybe the magic of editing will make that
No,
definitely not. I don't know.